Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Trustpilot and 3 webinar. My name is Chris Campbell. I'm Sales Manager here at Trustpilot in the UK, just helping to onboard new customers and to obviously educate them as to the benefits of Trustpilot. I'm currently sitting with Greg Jenkins.
Hi, yes. So I'm the digital business partner at 3, and I'm the link between our marketing department and our digital team. Right, so I'm going to talk a bit about how we used our customers to change our perception of the company. So I'm going to give a bit of context here. So perception, what is perception? So if we look at Nespresso, this is Nespresso created a brand based on the perception of luxury. They had the George Clooney effect, which I believe now is a term. And they're all based around this one capsule, this luxury capsule. And what we've now seen is about a year or two ago, they lost the patent to this capsule. What it meant is that the market could then get flooded with new companies coming in trying to sell a mimic of the capsule. Very quickly, brands that came in discovered that what was selling the capsule was this luxury. You had to spend to buy a machine worth a couple of £100, that in fact just changing the capsule wasn't good enough, and even though it was a fifth of the price, the people who were buying these, they were bought into the luxury and the brand and the type and the George Clooney effect. So they had to come slightly differently, and you'll find the likes of, for example, Aldi, which still had a minimal price to it, starting to introduce this new idea of actually we are still luxury with a pinch of salt in the advert. And companies like LAR started changing their branding, and multiple other ways started changing the way they were starting to changing the perception of that capsule and saying, actually, we also have that in order to adopt it. So what we did is we, as 3, we went out to the market to understand what a perception of 3 was. And several years ago, we discovered actually 3 had, when we went out to the customer base, goes out to the market, we discovered actually people were 10% less likely to select 3. We wanted to get to the bottom and understand why this was the case, why they had this perception that for some reason that 3 was not up there with the other players, even though our NPS scores, customer satisfaction scores, we were the least complaining network, most reliable network. We still had this lower perception in the market of joining. So we decided we needed to do something radically different. We needed to go out and understand what would change this perception. What do we have to do in order to change that external perception? So our internal customers to ourselves were happy, but for some reason the perception on the outside needed to change. So we decided to go out and listen to what people were saying. We wanted to understand what was wrong in the industry, why we were being perceived slightly, and what were things that we needed to address. By listening to customers what they're saying, thinking, and doing. What we discovered is actually 1 in 5 people actually trust networks to do fair business, which is a worry to us. We also discovered that 3 more people were trusting comparison sites than the mobile operators themselves. They would rather go to a comparison site and see what they had to offer rather than going directly to them to stores. We also discovered as well that 15% of people thought that telcos were being fair and transparent in the way they did business and transparent in their prices. So we decided to make a change, and we sat down and some people came together and put their minds together, and someone jumped up and said, I know what we can do here. And they decided what we're going to do is we're going to openly say that we think it sucks. And openly say that we think it sucks, and we're going to address all these issues. We're going to address everything that people thought about it. We thought this is what we needed to do. It'd been unchanged for a long time, and it was time for someone to take that step and jump out and do something different. So we went out to employees, and you can imagine as we went out and said, listen, we're going to start changing this. We need you to go and make customers believe that. We need you to understand that if a customer comes to you and complains about something, you have the opportunity to make it right, which was a tough sell. You can imagine someone at the front line of this suddenly saying, yeah, whatever. But we managed to. We created a movement. We got customers, and we got our own employees bought into it first. by getting a website set up for them, internet set up for them, where they could share ideas on how things could be made better, where they could raise the biggest things that customers being addressed. We had teams that were looking into how each one of those. We had prizes given out to the best make it right ideas. We really got a good customer buy-in, an employee buy-in. And we needed that in order to be able to get the employees and staff believing it before we went out to the market and told customers that this is what we're going to be doing. So the next thing was to support them with marketing. We went out then to both both virally through social, but also through television, through our stores, through the branding, through marketing, through banners. And we started saying this is something we're going to be doing. We're going to be going out to the market and we're going to make it right. Things that we don't believe in, that our customers or people in the telco market don't believe in, we were going to stand up and make that change. So we started addressing the key things, whether it was to do with roaming charges, whether to paying for 0800 calls. We started looking at these areas and saying these are the things that people feel they're being unfairly charged and they want clarity on. And we started to address them. So what happened when we started to do this? We started to realize it was impacting our customers. So our customers weren't leaving. We saw a 50% reduction in detractors. We also discovered that our NPS was starting to increase hugely. So our customers were starting to say, brilliant, this is what the things I want to hear. Great, you've introduced 0800s for free, roaming is free. We've got new 4G signal in places I never had. But it wasn't necessarily changing that perception on the outside. So I got together with the marketing team. We started looking how we could start doing this. And we looked at what could we do and how could we make it right. So we started looking at the digital channels, looking at viral. What could we do? How could we get our customers to start sharing that love? How could we use that customer affection and share it? So we looked at reviews as the best place to go. We looked at open platforms where customers could go and talk about it and openly say about their experiences and what they were feeling, so that our people outside of our base could actually see it and share it. And we started looking at what was on the marketplace. So 9% of consumers currently read reviews before making a purchase. 72% of consumers will take action only after reading a positive review. So we needed these people to go and find that platform to share it. Personal experience as well. If you look at a lot of my colleagues and probably yourselves, a lot of you use apps where you go and find out best about wines. You use TripAdvisor to find out where to stay, or this is a new one I discovered, places where you get best beers in terms of where you can go drink the drinks that you like drinking. But you start looking for reviews, some peer reviews from other people to find out whether this is you're not being marketed to, but in fact it's actual real customers giving you this advice. Also, what I discovered as well is my own experience. Again, when I was looking to get new tyres for my car, which every year I'd normally go to, not every year, that's a bit excessive, but where I'd go every time I needed new tyres, I'd go to the garage and they'd charge an extortionate price for the tyres and then service. And then so someone mentioned, why didn't you buy them online, which sounded outrageous to me. So I started looking into it and popped this site in, which was Tyre Shopper. It seemed to be highly ranked. I looked up on there. My immediate reaction as someone who's been building websites was to look at the site and say, well, that's not a very nice site. I don't think I'll go there. I don't have trust for it. But within very quick, I saw the reviews straight at the top, 15,000 reviews and excellent. And I spent a good part of the time looking at those reviews and reading them. And within no time, I made my first purchase through this website, which drove me to actually make the review. The service was phenomenal, and I knew it was going to be because of those reviews. So there was definitely something there that, in fact, the reviews were driving that kind of driving it, so out of own personal experience. So taking a reality check, actually, we had to look at our own reviews, and this is actually slightly higher than we originally were, which was a 2.6, I think, when we first looked at it. We had to understand what people were currently reviewing. The people who were reviewing, the majority of them are people who'd already left us. They'd made reviews on here which hadn't been responded to. There were areas around the customer service, for example, that we might have addressed that they hadn't been responded to. So we needed to address those and understand, well, actually, that's not really reflective of today's customers, because some of them were almost 2 years old, 3 years old. So we decided, okay, well, let's address the people who are using our service today. So we've introduced this new feel at home, so free roaming charges to 42 countries. How do we go to those people who are pushing up our NPS scores, giving us great satisfaction scores? How do we get to those people and say, well, why not share that love as well? We're also those people who are starting to get better signaling. When we got voted the most reliable network, those people, how do we get those people to go out and say that this is actually their experience with 3, and put it on a platform where other people will see it and read it. So we decided to test this hypothesis that if we go out to our base and ask them to review us, in fact, we'll get a great response. We wanted to test it. We didn't want to suddenly go out and blitz it everywhere. We wanted to do it bit by bit. A, because we didn't have the support channels there to respond to everyone yet. And B, because we didn't have the resources to go and start putting it on our website and build it everywhere. We needed to prove that this theory would work. So as you can tell, the results were outstanding. As soon as we gave our customers a platform to go out and review, suddenly we saw a shoot up in results. We suddenly took our results from a 2.6 up to a 7.3, and I believe today we're on 7.5. So it was a phenomenal result. And straight away gave that platform where we could then share. So the idea is we now had all this rich content and rich reviews from our customers, and we wanted to get it out now and start sharing it and telling people, actually, this is what our customers' experience of this is. So what could we do? Yes, we could guerrilla market it all over our website, but we decided what we wanted to do is make it work properly and really think about how we were going to get these reviews out and change this perception and make it work for us. So one thing we looked at is schema.org. So schema.org was set up with Google and Microsoft and Yahoo all coming together and saying, how do we read a website page so that when someone searches for a product, we understand what's on these pages. So it's how you structure the data on a website or internet email so that you get better ranking. So if you use schema.org to create your website and stick with that pattern, then search engines will find you. So we started restructuring our pages so that the ratings that we had with Trustpilot were being translated into rankings, into ratings, Google ratings. So that when someone started looking in, for example, 3, as you'll see, we tested it here on our Contact Us page, suddenly our ratings were being translated into Google stars. So that was the first thing. So make sure the ratings were coming through when people were searching for 3 so they could see it. The next thing was actually, how do we make a commercial value out of it? So how do we actually show that this is providing the commercial benefit that we think it should do? So we tested it. We put it on one of our products. This one on the right-hand side was the iPhone 5. We saw an immediate impact. So on a like-for-like testing of 50 versus 50%, we saw a 21% increase in click-through rates on our product and a 30% increase growth in Google organic results, purely by putting in the results star ratings and translating those into search rankings. So straight away we had a commercial proposition that this was having a direct impact on our endpoint. What we also noticed as well, obviously we started ranking higher in searches. So when people were putting through search 3 reviews, 3 mobiles, or finding out more about us, we were coming up the top 1-2 positions, and it was showing through. Well, actually click through on it and you'll see what our customers are saying, which was great, because what it started doing is driving customers to a review site, a platform where our customers were talking positively about us, and then able to make a decision from there and going on to point of purchase. What we also did is start to look around where else we could put it. So we looked at the homepage. Now, one of the areas is we did see some progress around the additions to baskets, but what we couldn't do is get that confidence, and we discovered why is mainly because we had multiple A/B tests going across different areas of our website, so we couldn't gain that confidence. So we had to try different areas around the website to verify whether it was actually driving these additional commercial revenues. So we've now tried in different areas. We've tried different designs, and we're waiting just to get that confidence now. We've had to freeze certain A/B tests just to get that confidence, but we're fairly confident that we'll see that benefit at the end of the day. And it's very simple to do. You can even start with simply by putting the ratings on the product page and showing it to 50% of people and not showing it 50% and starting to see what the impact is of having those reviews, and that'll validate you doing that. Second thing is also to bring not only Trustpilot to directing people out to Trustpilot, was actually bring those reviews into our site. So we created a hub for them, so we could pull through all those reviews when someone's looking through our website. they could say what the customer was saying. So if they wanted to get that feedback straight away, we could pull through all these reviews and starting to show them off and start changing that perception. It's not just about putting marketing pictures of how great our products and us talking about it, but actually our customers talking about it in a way that we wanted them to, which is great. Second thing was, you'll never get 100% 5-star ratings on everyone. Some people, unfortunately, do experience some negative feedback, and they do want to speak about them. So the big thing for us was actually to respond to those people. And get those resolved so that we could, and it was very easy for us to then identify problems. So we put a response team, which we got funded by the fact that we could show the commercial value behind this. And we now have a response team that responds within 24 hours. They've managed to take 25% of the negative feedback offline and resolve. They produce a monthly action report, which allows us to see the areas where we need to be working on, and the key areas that we should be focusing on to improve, or the key areas that are working very well for us. We use a tagging system in order to correlate it with all the other channels, so we can see whether it's the same correlation we're getting through phone or web chat feedback. So we import that import. And the second thing we do, the multiple reviews, we're able to then reach out to those customers back in and say, now that we've resolved this, it'd be great if you'd like to either re-edit or add another review to the Trustpilot site and amend that review. So now that we've tested this theory and we've got a response team, we're able to start broadening this out. And now we've got to the point where we're starting to include it within all new joiners who then come onto 3 at some stage will receive a Trustpilot review to encourage them to go out and make the review, so we get that visibility. We're also looking at including within our product pages, so we can also see their full experience of purchase from purchase to the end. So that's on its way. And we're also picking out all other kind of journeys and all other kind of products that we're doing. We want people to say how they're feeling about it, because it gives us that sense and perception of sharing. So now that we had this mechanism of sharing, and customer feedback, we wanted to promote it. So this is the idea now, changing this perception. So not only do we have stores which look outstanding and have these great stands and great woodwork, but actually if you look around all the walls and the pictures around the side, you'll start seeing actually we're pulling through reviews from our customers. So if you go into on stores, you'll see reviews from our customers. And you're able to go online, you're able to see what customers are saying around specific areas. So now we're starting to change the perception out to acquisition areas where people are starting to buy and communicate with us and meet with our customer support. So what we also did is we also acknowledged our customers that had negative. So we get a big volume of customers that obviously come into our stores for either upgrade, support, help. We wanted to acknowledge that they are supporting us, they are shouting about us, they are sharing the love with us. So we also started a campaign actually saying thank you back to our customers, which we did both nationally on newspaper, and we also did as well as part of the in-store of saying thank you for your support and thank you for your continued love. It has 2 benefits: A, to show that recognition to the people who are giving it that feedback, but also that recognition to customers coming in to say that our customers are shouting about it, and it gives a great bit of promotion to us. Any questions?
Right. Yeah, we've had some questions come through. Ian would like to know, when you used reviews in your digital campaigns, how did you measure the success of those results? So I think that means with the Google stars and that sort of thing, when you started using them there.
So that was one of the biggest challenges, is to see how do you commercially, so how do you show the finance team effectively that this is having a direct return of investment. So the first things was that test is A/B testing. So by putting it in various places online very quickly, you're able to see what the impact is. Putting on a product page, for example, versus an A/B testing at 50% width, 50% out, and see a conversion rate. What we could also do is look at Google rankings, for example, which is hugely high. We're also able to pull through, for example, one of our big promotional is using paid search results. And now that we can bring through the ranking from reviews as well, we can directly correlate how many links we're getting from paid search and whether it improves with ratings, star ratings, or without. So we're able to straight away see that conversion rate. I mentioned the iPhone 5 one where we saw a 25% increase in click-through rate, 21% increase click-through rate. That alone was enough for us to secure funding for further reviews and secure funding for the responses as well.
Okay, great.
I think just that, in addition to that, by engaging and updating and driving traffic through to the Trustpilot profile page, that in turn directs traffic immediately from Trustpilot to any said URL, and in this case, obviously through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Charlotte would like to know, when reviews are taken offline with customer services, do the team ever ask the customer to edit their review or rating?
It was a funny one. It was one that was discussed, and the answer to that is if we find we got to a reasonable position where we have resolved it, then the answer was yes. We do try to encourage it. It was actually about a month ago. One of another colleague in a different department, I was having a conversation around this, and I'm going off topic, but you will see why. He was trying to amend his credit score, and he was having a real struggle with his bank, and then he eventually went to a company called to Noodle, which I've never heard of, but they finally managed to resolve it in such a fast time that he thought he's going to take his time and email them and say, by the way, you guys have done really good. I just wanted to thank you because you managed to sort it. For some reason it messed up. And the guy came back and said, thank you very much. He goes, if you have the opportunity to say anything on social, Twitter or Facebook, it'd be great. And I thought, what a great, and of course he did. He thought, well, you've asked nicely. And it was great. So then he went on Twitter and he mentioned how great Noodle were. And that was a bit of promotion for them. And straight away, it gets them to shout anything you do good. So if we are able to take it offline and resolve it, then why not get the customer to say, by the way, if you do want to make that change, it'd be great. And it has happened. I think there was a percentage I did get back on the monthly action report, which said how many we managed to transfer over. I don't have it top of my head.
I think adding to that as well, independent research shows us that if you're responding to a negative review, and you can do that in a public way, it's actually 5 to 6 times more powerful than a straight 5-star review. It shows that you're engaging with your customers, that you care about improving, and you care about each individual as well.
It's the TripAdvisor effect, effectively. Or even Amazon. You'll tend to go down there, look at the star ratings, and the first thing you do is you click on a 1-star and see what the negatives are.
Yeah.
And if you see a response straight away, you see how they're actually dealing with negative feedback.
It gives you confidence. I think everyone's probably been through that process.
Great. I think I have a question here for you, Chris. We're a photo booth company. How can we transfer previous reviews from Facebook to Trustpilot as they're new to Trustpilot?
If you're new to Trustpilot, what you can do is, obviously you've spent a long time building up a loyal customer base. We have a program called a Kickstart program, which allows you to invite historic customers to start leaving reviews. Depending on what industry it is, we would advise you to go back maybe 6 or 12 months, sometimes longer, depending on, like I said, the industry. But it's really, really easy for us to get in contact with your historic customers and start to work towards getting things like Google seller star ratings and verified reviews very, very quickly indeed.
Yeah, because there's no real way to do a mass import of existing reviews. You do need those people to leave the review themselves.
Yeah.
That's one of our anti-fraud measures. How easy was it to align Trustpilot with your existing voice of the customer programs? That's from Thomas.
It was actually fairly straightforward. We're lucky from the benefit that at the time we started working with Trustpilot, we were at the early stages of the voice of customer program, so it's fairly easy to embed. If not, it was one of the triggers to kick that project off into full flight. So the transition was fairly easy. The big part we wanted to make sure was happening, which I think I may mention to earlier on, was pulling all the data out of Trustpilot and aligning it with all the other channels. So we had a single view. What we didn't want to do is have 3 different or 4 different pots of information and people running off in their own direction. But the idea is to amalgamate them all together in one place so you can really see the key ones that you need to be focusing on. And that was the biggest area for us for.
Sebastian would like you to explain the connection with schema.org again.
Sorry. That's the techie bit. So schema.org. So it's a program which is put together by some of the big search engines. So your Bing, your Google, your Explorer. They all signed up to this. I guess it's a program where they all rank websites in a similar type way. And so you can change your website, the way you create a page. You can say you can get a different developer who creates your page in a different way every single time, but they want to find a unified way which allows all websites to be searched in a similar way. And so the schema.org was set up so that all these companies came together and said, okay, well, this is how we're going to read a web page, so that when you search it on these search engines, then you should come through with the same information. So as part of that was ratings and rankings. So the rating was translated from Trustpilot. In order for the schema to be read by someone who puts in, for example, 3 reviews, it needs to be in a certain format on your website. Your web page needs to be created in a certain way that allows that rating to be read and translated into Google reviews. So it's a way for search engines to be able to read the content on the page. I could have probably said that in about 5 seconds, but that's the extended version.
No, that's good. I'll do one more question. How do you glean data about how your business is performing from reviews? So I think you can probably both answer that. You can answer it from a 3 specific perspective.
Can I just get the question?
So it's how do you glean data about your company from reviews? So I think it's seeing how do you identify what's not working, what's working.
So the way we've done, there's probably multiple ways. Whether you use sentiment charts, whether you word clouds, etc. The way we do it very much is since we've had a response team in there, it's tagging effectively. So we try to identify anything that seems to be treading. We find a specific tag for it, and it's the same tag we use across any of our channels, and now we use it across Trustpilot as well. And we'll tag it, and then we do a report, which is called our monthly action report, which basically comes through and shows you what's trending up. If you have a certain area that starts coming up and you see it obviously needs to focus, then that becomes that department's goal is to knock that percentage down and say, how do we get those top 3 things down so they're not trending anymore, so they're starting to bring it down. So it's that ability to amalgamate all the information. What you don't want to do is to go running off on one negative review and think, okay, look, we have a massive problem down there, we need to fix it, when in fact it's 1 out of 5,000. What you want to do is hit those top percentage ones. So for us, it definitely was trying to pick up a trend, put a tag on it and see if it's the same trend coming across multiple channels.
I think I kind of mirror that. There's lots of different ways to do it. Companies do it in a very bespoke way, but quite basically, tagging is key. You know, we provide some really great insight tools to look at anything from how specific products are performing, whether it's delivery in regards to a certain product, whether it's certain branches. There's many ways for us to kind of tag any kind of insight that you're looking for, and working with customer success team here over kind of a 30, 60, 90-day plan is the very best way to do that.
Great. Thanks very much, guys. If you've not had your question answered, we will be getting in touch with you via email, but I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.